everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 10 of the Ossan Newbie Adventurer. I really love the angles that this show takes in examining the various aspects of growing into and becoming proficient at whatever it is that you are passionate about. In last week's episode, we saw somebody who had an extreme amount of a talent come out of nowhere and show his current pupil, essentially, the way she could move forward and the potential she could have, so long as she was willing to stick with the challenges that came with improving her skill. In this episode, we see a character who is confident in their skill and who has trained for a long time actually end up having to face the realization that they are not the top in their field and that there are people who will be above them. At the same time, though, this isn't done in such a way as to knock that character down or to make the person who is in the higher level of skill and authority look like an asshole. We actually get a really great fight between Kevin and the orc. I think his name is Browston or whatever. And it's really awesome because we actually get to see both of them show just how much actual talent and potential they both have, while still being able to acknowledge the level of skill gap that there is between them. We also get a fantastic examination of the idea of the risk people have when, especially in an entertainment thing, whether it's fighting or music or drama or whatever, where sometimes people will feel this obligation to dumb down their performance to fit with the needs of the venue. We actually saw that this season as well in Oshinoko through the character of Kana. So to see it here too in a fighting sense instead of in an acting sense was really cool. It's something I've also seen when I've done different types of singing competitions and stuff. Like, I know one time I went to one and they actually had this little 10-year-old girl, and somebody we found out had placed her into a competition singing the two songs at the time that I was most known for to see what I would do. And of course I let the kid have the songs because obviously my repertoire was much wider than that. But I mean, it's interesting when you see the kinds of weird things that can get jumbled into competitions and how the morality of individual contestants can actually apply to what they do in a competitive state. Kevin, for example, choosing to actually weaken down his performances so that the crowd is having a better experience, and then obviously having that turn around and at least temporarily bite him on the ass later in the episode when people realize that they have been being deceived. And also the damage of the way in which this would cause Kevin to also deceive himself. And I love the fact that this isn't out of an act of selfishness, this isn't to be a prick, this isn't to be mean. This is all about him actually caring about the connection he has with the owner of the actual competitions in the arena and stuff, and the fact that the guy took him in and helped him and everything. And Kevin doesn't do this to be a dick or to be lazy or anything like that. Kevin does this because he thinks he's helping the guy. And I thought that that was really amazing. And to see the way that that guy turns around and in his roundabout rough and tumble way supports Kevin in actually going and doing a true fight and showing his true strength was wonderful. I also like the fact that Kevin actually loses this bout. It does still kind of confuse me on how we're going to get a solid conclusion to this tournament arc, since Rick and the orc are both going for the same goal, which means there isn't as much conflict, although I do think that Rick's overall act of trauma toward the orc and toward his training might actually end up being a better catalyst anyway, especially with all of these carefully constructed ideas of different hierarchies and challenges and reality versus imposter syndrome and so many other things that we've seen come through this show. So I think maybe it might just be that it's going for a completely different angle. I don't necessarily think the jewels might be as important as I initially thought they were. I think they might actually be more of a MacGuffin to explore these character dynamics, and the show is doing a beautiful job at exploring those. Another thing I really liked is the dynamic of Snape and Angelica, and I think his name is like Gaius or something, the red scaly guy. I really like what happened with all this, because red scaly dude actually comes out of nowhere, and the show is smart enough, despite what's going to happen eventually, to let Kevin be the one who knocks his ass out, showing clearly the level of skill that Kevin has. But we also get two really beautiful moments for Snape and Angelica. We get a very brief moment when the red scaly dude that's Snape's brother comes out and is causing all the havoc, and Snape is actually genuinely concerned for the people and for what's going on with his brother and how this is happening and the impact and ramifications it's going to have. We also, at the start of the episode, get this fantastic moment between Snape and Angelica, showing just what kinds of characters each of those are, and actually showing, very interestingly, that although he went about things in such a roundabout and stupid and like almost sinister way to an extent, his intentions toward Angelica were actually legitimate, and he seems genuinely sad that he doesn't get to be with her. And she actually, instead of being haughty and superior for the entire thing, ultimately seems surprised at the way that he reacts to this. And I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, could there be any possibility of connection between them going forward? Could they actually meet each other on some kind of equal footing? I'm not saying it's going to or has to happen, but the fact that instead of making him some kind of cold-cut villain and giving him no motivation and making him just an absolute sleazebag, we instead get these interesting shades of gray. I thought that was just really interesting and memorable storytelling. Overall, though, I really liked this episode. I thought that the fight sequences were fantastic. I think there was some incredibly fun and interesting depth with the characters. I am very curious to see just how they will actually, or whether they can actually top this going forward, but I continue to super enjoy this show, and I'm having a great time watching it and chatting about it with all of you. I'd love to know what you guys thought of this episode, though, so drop a comment below and let me know, and I'll talk to you in the next video. See you later. Bye!